When people try to grow their companies, they always think about releasing a better product or understanding their competition or getting closer to their customers. But the truth is that those are not the biggest problems that these companies face. You know what the biggest danger is for any software company? It's pricing page. Now, I'm actually serious. A lot of damage is being done on these little websites, these little web pages that most managers give only 1 or 2 seconds thought about in their entire careers. So today I'm going to share 4 basic ways that your pricing page is probably killing your profits and doing more damage to your company than any competitor ever could. The first piece of advice I would suggest is to avoid arbitrary limits. Now, I've heard a lot of people say the sky is the limit, the sky is the limit. Well, the truth is, the sky is the limit unless you build a dome over your head and over your business's head. What do I mean by this? Let's take a look at an example pricing page. I'm sure many of you have heard of Crazy Egg. This is actually their pricing page. And what do you notice about the way it's designed? Well, you can pay $9 a month, you can pay a little bit more, you can pay all the way up to $99 a month. But the sky isn't the limit. This company can never charge any customer more than $99 according to this page. And what's the problem? Well, what happens if they get the attention of a big company? Someone like Microsoft, someone like Google. Do you think Google is willing to spend only $99 a month? Do you think Microsoft would think and say, $100? Don't know if I can cover that. Of course not. What companies need to realize is that there's always a special case of another company, a company with big problems, who's willing to come in, spend a lot of money, and you have to offer them the opportunity to do just that. Take a look at this. This is a great example of a company that gets it. This is Smartsheet. And what they do is they allow customers to spend as much as they want. If you don't have a lot of money to spend, sure, get one of the prepackaged solutions. But if you have more money, if you have a great need, maybe something they've thought of, maybe something that they haven't thought of, you can call up, tell Smartsheet, hey, we've got some big needs. And Smartsheet can say, yeah, we can handle that, but guess what? The sky is now the limit, and we're going to charge you for the value that we're providing. And I did a little bit of research, and in my little survey of business software as a service companies, I found that most companies, actually about 2/3 of companies, don't even think to offer this option publicly. Now, some have admitted to me privately that they do offer them, but why not make it visible? Why not tell people? Why not allow people to give you more money? They'll be thrilled because they'll be receiving more value, and I guarantee you'll be thrilled because you'll be receiving more money. And let's be honest, that's why businesses exist, to generate income. So let's take a look at a second suggestion that I have for most pricing pages. And that, of course, is to reduce friction. Think about a competitive ice skater. What do they do? They wear bodysuits. They have really sharp blades for their ice skates. They wear really protective sunglasses to add that little last bit of aerodynamics. They do this not to look cool, but to get to their goals faster, to prevent wind shear and ice from blocking them, from getting their speed up and reaching their goals. Well, guess what? You can do the same thing on a pricing page. You can reduce friction in order to achieve your goals. Let's take a look at another example. This is, again, Crazy Egg. Now, what do you see here? A person can come, they can decide on a plan, and they can pay money. But for anyone who's worked in a Fortune 100 or Fortune 500 company, and I've worked for a few, getting a company to spend any money at all can be a real challenge. And as an employee, I had to go through an entire day's worth of effort just to get a company to spend $49 for a book. You can only imagine the types of signatures and the types of paperwork involved in paying for an ongoing cost. Even if there's a free 30-day trial, typically pages require a credit card. Okay, you don't have to pay now, but you have to put your credit card number in. What's that do? That adds friction, that adds risk. A person, an analyst, is going to look at this pricing page and really wonder, well, is it worth spending all that time to get permission to try it out? Friction. How do you avoid friction? Well, here's one easy way. Add a freemium pricing tier. Here's an example from mutt.com, but really, this is something that any company can do. Offer a free tier, let people try it out, no risk, no signatures required, no worries. Allow people to see how your software works. And of course, it's important to add limitations on. It's important to make sure that the free tier isn't so fantastic that they never feel the need to upgrade. But just get them using the basics, and they'll understand if this is something that's valuable to them. And I guarantee if they try out your software and they see value, and other companies are making them get credit cards before they're even usable, these companies are going to go to you, not to your competitors. And in my little analysis, guess what? Roughly half of companies didn't even bother putting up a free tier. The competition here will be failing. You will be able to get in, get rid of the friction, and get customers onto your programs. Let them see the value that you provide. My third suggestion is to think about naming. And we've all heard the Shakespeare quote, "A rose by any other name would smell as sweet." Well, the truth is, he may be a great playwright, he may be the Bard of Avon, but he is not an economist, he is not a businessman, and you should avoid any suggestions that he makes in the field of business. Names matter. And there are basically three naming schemes that I found, and I'm going to go over each one of them and explain their positives and their negatives. Here's a great example from a software company called Appointment Plus. And this represents the progressive naming system. This is very traditional, the traditional bronze, silver, and gold options. Now let's take a look. What does bronze, silver, and gold tell us? Well, it tells us which plan is better than the others. Everyone knows immediately, without even looking at the price tags, that gold is going to be a better offer and typically more expensive offer than silver or bronze. A visitor who comes by and says, "I have tons of money, just give me the best," he doesn't have to think. He just picks the gold option. Now, you don't need to use metals. You don't need to use bronze, silver, and gold. You can be creative. Here's one example of a company that did just that. Firebase. They took their name, Firebase, used the concept of fire, and named each tier of their pricing after a different type of fire. So as you can see, they spend a little bit of money, they can get a spark. Customer comes by and wants something a little bit better, they can get candle, bonfire, blaze, all the way up to inferno. Now this is pretty good because if you have two plans, if you have, say, candle and blaze, you'll have a pretty good idea of which one is better than the other. But I still prefer the metals, like bronze, silver, and gold, because someone can just hear one of those tiers, silver, and know he's getting a mid-tier option, or gold, and know he's getting the best. Here, if someone were just told he's getting the blaze option, there really isn't any hint or indication as to whether that's a particularly good plan, particularly bad plan, or something in the middle. But still, not bad. The next method is what I call the customer-focused method. And this, unfortunately, is not widely used. Instead of describing the value that you're offering or describing the ranking of each price tier, you talk about the intended audience. And this is fantastic. Someone can come here and say, "You know what? I'm a professional. What plan's right for me?" Take a quick look and see the professional plan. Or, "I'm an enterprise user. What should I do?" Well, they come by and they see the enterprise tier. And guess what? They're more likely just to pick it. So you can actually push people toward tiers that you think is more appropriate rather than what they think is more appropriate. No longer will customers have to wonder, should I get bronze or silver or gold? They'll come by, they'll see, oh, there's a plan just for me, and they'll be more likely to take that plan. I really like this strategy, and I really think it should be used more. But those are only two strategies. Isn't there a third? Well, there is. And it's what I call miscellaneous, because you know what? I've seen a number of other systems used, and they're all terrible. I'm going to give you two examples of where companies have gone wrong in their naming systems. I'm going to go back to my favorite company to pick on, Woo Foo. And I've heard very good things about their product, but take a look at this. What does this naming system tell you? It tells you that they're trying to show off and they're probably hiring a couple more classics majors rather than computer science majors. What do these Latin terms mean to you? Carpe diem, bona fide, ad hoc. If you know Latin, gratis, okay, free, that makes sense. But the others make absolutely no sense. They don't tell you anything about the tier. They don't tell you anything about the product or who it's intended for. If you received a package of a free bona fide tier, you wouldn't even know if that was something good or something bad or where it ranks in the whole system. It tells you absolutely nothing and just takes brain power. It adds friction onto the buying process. They'd almost be better with just plan one, plan two, plan three, plan four. And for a long time, I said this was a great example of the worst possible naming system. And then I saw something else. Uberflip. Now, Uberflip did something that I haven't seen almost anywhere else. They took a bunch of superlatives and named each plan after a superlative. So it almost looks like each plan is in fact the best. But then begs the question, if they're all the best, why wouldn't you just go for the cheapest one? Why would you go for something more expensive when an expert clearly would pick the cheapest plan? They called it the expert plan. This seems more like an ego boost for the producers rather than something that'll help the consumers make a choice or that'll direct the consumers to spend more on the available plans. And oh, by the way, I looked up a thesaurus, and not only does a consumer get the idea that these plans are all the best, but many of the plans mean the exact same thing. Look at this, elite and exclusive. Two different plans, exact same meaning for the word. This is not how you differentiate products. So this is not how you get customers to spend more money. And here's a breakdown of who uses what. As you can see, roughly a third of people have chosen the progressive naming scheme. Kind of old school, but it works. About half as many have picked the user-focused naming schemes. This is what I would suggest to my customers. And roughly half, almost half of everyone who names their software pricing tiers just does something random, something stupid, something that adds friction to the buying process and just does not help their customers at all. And my fourth topic, what is really killing companies on their pricing pages, is the lack of understanding of what is a benefit versus what is a feature and what customers are willing to spend money on. So let's take a look. Here's another example from a company called Squarespace. And this is a very famous company. They do fantastically well, but even their pages aren't designed perfectly. And here's a sample of a feature they're touting, powerful website metrics. Now, I've got to tell you, I don't think anyone wakes up one day and screams, I wish I had powerful website metrics. I don't think anyone comes to tears worrying about whether or not they have access to powerful website metrics. It just doesn't happen. You know what they get upset about? They get upset that they don't understand why people aren't buying their products. They get upset that people aren't picking the most expensive offerings. You see the difference? If I were to replace that line on the website, powerful website metrics, with, I don't know, will help you sell more stuff, that's a much more powerful offer. That's something that's going to get the customer's attention. That directly goes to their pain point. And this really exemplifies the difference between a feature and a benefit. So for the sake of simplicity, a feature is something that describes the product, something that tells you about what you're buying. And that's how a lot of amateur marketers market their software. Whereas a benefit talks about the outcome that a customer can receive. It talks about the value that they will receive. If it's customer focused and it addresses the needs of the customers, guess what? The customer is going to pay more money because most customers will not spend more money on powerful website metrics. They will spend more money on selling more products. If you can make the argument that every $10 spent on your software will yield $20 or $30 or $100 of savings or additional earnings for your customers, guess what? Your marketing effort just became simple. So simple that even a child can do it. So if you want more money, you have to fix your pricing pages. And this isn't rocket science. These are just a couple simple tips that you can use in order to get more money, destroy the competition, and really make your customers understand the value that you're delivering. So again, avoid using arbitrary pricing limits. When it comes to pricing, the sky really should be the limit. Number two, reduce the friction. Don't make your customers work. Don't make your customers try to figure out why they should use your software or what the value is. Let them try it out. Let them use it. Don't put barriers in the way, and they will see the value that you have to offer. Think about your naming. Preferably use customer-focused names and really guide people into the appropriate package. Don't make them think. Just let them buy. And of course, fourth, understand the difference between features and benefits. Features will not attract very many business customers. Benefits will. People will pay more for benefits. Hopefully you found these 4 tips helpful for your business. If you'd like to learn more, obviously check out my website, taprun.com. We're available for consulting. Take a look at my book, The Software Pricing Handbook. It's chock full of tips just like this one. And of course, if you have further questions, you can always contact me, adam@taprun.com. That's my email. I look forward to hearing from you.